My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. This is the City of Ontario gang stalking with Starbucks. Alana, Elena, Vivian, going by Vivi, Brian, and the other third party referring to itself as G. They're under the fake sun, which is present in alignment. Pay attention to the light activity while traffic moves. The entity is engaged in the pattern of conduct. They're in engineered lights along the drive-through. This is all impossible light they're monitoring. And these are psychopaths engaging in the fully exposed gang stalking system. And it's government action that Starbucks is engaging. Starbucks is a third party. Don't forget when the fake sun is remaining over me at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock at the same venue. And these are the ignoramuses that are engaging in federal offenses, terrorism on camera. That's light activity by the City of Ontario that's engaged in the demonic pattern of conduct of stalking in the path with light. And then they come into the venue. This is impossible light that's on the floor, streaming through on the floor. They're ordering drinks, walking around in it, and engaging in the P.O.C. with the people of the state. The third parties are engaging in what is monitoring. This is impossible light, the shadow of the table, speaking to light being projected. And it's also in concert with the people of the state, the demons who are stalking in the path. The fake sun is remaining at this venue, and the City of Ontario is serving to prosecute Starbucks, the people of the state. This is 507 North Euclid Avenue. This is the entity that doesn't know how to defend itself against a prosecution, that has no business engaging criminal monitoring in the first place. The fake sun remains here all day long. And these are the demons that Paul Leon has engaged in the pattern of conduct. Paul Leon's being removed from office. And here's the fake sun. Driving in that is creating light activity in there. And they're gang stalking together. This is P.O.C. The sun is not going to be still present as I document, however. When Tracy Banks enters the venue, at what is 9:59 in the morning, and the fake sun is over this same sidewalk over me here. When Tracy Banks enters the venue again at 4 o'clock in the evening, and the fake sun is still over this same sidewalk where she enters in harassing, engaging in the P.O.C. with these demons who are going to be prosecuted. This is called crossing a path when you maintain the environment for it. That's P.O.C. All right, the entities engaged in this pattern of conduct with knowledge that they're being documented. This is the same City of Ontario. These are demons. So at 7 p.m., you have the impossible light over here, and here it is over here. This is impossible light activity, especially while the entity LAPD is gang stalking and keeping the fake sun over me rising through my living room window. This is strategic placement in the path. You're understanding gang stalking is about being in the path, so they parked the vehicle in alignment with me inside of the venue. They know that I'm taking pictures, federal stalking demons, under the fake sun confirmation, because this is where it is at 7 p.m. when you're looking at my images and Vince is taking out the garbage while he's stalking in the path in the cafe. And this is speaking to the P.O.C. that the City of Ontario that's also stalking with commercial airline planes and stalking in concert with the people of the state and the entity that is gang stalking with the Ontario police. This is the pattern of conduct. And these are the lowlifes. These are the demons that are engaged in monitoring my vagina together as a population as well. And the evidence proves their condition, that you're not ignorant about the fact that they're demon possessed. This is P.O.C. This is criminal surveillance, using their communication device, stalking in the path, pacing in and out, license 43832. P.O.C. It's currently 6:33 a.m. Remember, Corey Watson is engaging in the pattern of conduct when he comes in, City of Ontario, on his communication device, monitoring, coming from the bathroom, is crossing a path. This is a demon stalking in the path. This is impossible light, walking right in it, monitoring, P.O.C. All right, this is unlawful threat posed by the government that's gang stalking. Starbucks is the people of the state, and that's why the fake sun remains over me inside of this venue. That's why impossible light flies inside of this venue, monitoring me. And they are also engaged in they're aware of the documentation of them stalking and terrorizing and harassing while they're continuously doing it. And that's why people like Alana, people like Brian, Vivian, Patty, who are here gang stalking with impunity, are subject to federal prison. The government enters in. The government is engaged in the pattern of conduct. They represent their low lives. They're being paid less than $60,000 a year. But it's terrorism. It's not about their salary. It's not about the lack of training needed to empty garbage. Engaging in domestic terrorism, psychological torture is not a part of the pattern of conduct of a municipality, and this is what Paul Leon is facilitating, and this is the pattern of conduct in concert with the people of the state. All right, third party with regard to status, and this is state action. They represent the City of Ontario. This is P.O.C. All right, it is June 23rd, 2025. It's currently 7:34 a.m. And the video that you're listening to is the ongoing evidence of the City of Ontario, which is the criminal pattern of conduct that the state of California is engaging in, where all elements are present. And you are listening to the pattern of conduct literally while I document the state of California that's going to be prosecuted for the unprecedented act of federal group stalking and monitoring, i.e. gang stalking. This is terrorism that a government is committing, and the government is committing it with the people of the state. And it's also the widespread exposure of demon possession, demonic activity, and criminal surveillance, which is executed in an entirely satanic manner, and which is relevant with regard in the secular manner. This is addressing severe mental illness that is no longer closeted. So while the demons are stalking with light, while the demons are stalking one person under a fake sun, while the demons are stalking in a malicious manner, as you watched how they conduct themselves while they're gang stalking, as you are witnessing the demons stalk someone in the most extreme means, such as with helicopters and with airplanes, using fire trucks and ambulances and police vehicles just to stalk one person, that they are all together intentionally seeking to psychologically torture as well. This is revealing the mental illness that that entity together suffers while they share an identical pattern of conduct, and they remain present stalking one person, i.e. gang stalking, in that specific environment, as I referred to it, which is demonic. Okay, it is supernatural. So the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, which is not where the pattern of conduct starts. Okay, this is documentation of the entity stalking ceaselessly. And so this is the entity stalking. If you know the definition of stalking, that is following. This entity is following as evident in the specific environment, which is irreconcilable. There's no explanation for standing under a street lamp and having 3 shadows on the ground, having perpendicular shadows, having varying shadows that differ in level of concentration of light, having shadows that are both upright and flat on the ground. They're shadows that are at a great, tremendous distance away from you, magnified in size, like it's a whole other person. This is inexplicable with regard to the environment. This is the demonic environment where psychopaths are stalking, and they're stalking in a manner that the ordinary target individual is not supposed to be able to define, explain, recognize. And certainly the entity that is targeting you is the one that wants you to report such things so that they can criminally defame you. It is a trap, and it is the entity that's engaging in a malicious pattern of conduct, and the entity that is gang stalking in the way in which I have proven, which is the government's method of terrorizing American citizens. The gang stalkers shall be subject to what are diagnoses for actual mental illness, literally as their criminal activity is documented to prosecute them. It is handling both issues which are a threat to national security. In addition to that, as I go from the TABOR professional building, and the entity follows with a specific environment which the people of the state, the government itself, are maintaining while they are perpetually maintaining presence in the path and doing so with light, with activity. They are the cause for the specific environment following you, and they are thereby stalking as an entity as well, in addition to what is merely their physical presence, which is how stalking is accomplished. It is referred to as relevant positioning. All right, so the entity is following from the TABOR professional building to Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, as I document that. And the entity is stalking, and the video that you're listening to, the City of Ontario, which is representative of the government. The City of Ontario is acting, as you've witnessed, the gang stalking, which is thoroughly established and prolonged documentation about the Ontario Fire Department, the Police Department, the International Airport, the municipality itself, which is what is walking in here and engaging in the pattern of conduct on video. This is also representative of the mental illness. No sane person would provide evidence of this direct level, at this obvious, in this such an obvious means, on video for it to go right to a court, and there's no mystery about who's committing the crime, who's being targeted. There's no mystery here. That's also a reference to the mental illness of the demons who are gang stalking. So the entity is engaging in what is public corruption, and it is unprecedented public corruption in the same way that it is unprecedented criminal conduct. It's also unprecedented sexual violence. This same entity is also obsessed with the genitalia of the one whom they're targeting together. And these are all things that the demon-possessed, who are psychopaths, are also hostile while it's exposed about them. And that hostility is also demonstrated, communicated, and reasonably so as well when you're analyzing in order to prosecute in court under laws. The specific environment, the impossible light activity increases, the amplified audible activity increases, the demonic pacing increases, the spectacular and extreme means of stalking in planes and helicopters and government vehicles, for example, that increases. That's a threat that you are documenting in order to prosecute as well, and it's directly relevant to the mental illness that the entity that is gang stalking puts on full display. In other words, to put it in the vernacular, they're crazy. It's obvious, it's not closeted, and it is all over the place. And the entity seeks to project that mental illness that it knows it has. The demon-possessed know that they are sick. They know that they are weird. They know that it's improper. They know it's inappropriate. They know that it's creepy. The demon-possessed don't want to be identified. They do not. They despise the idea of being at this point where it's not quite yet socially acceptable to hail Satan openly. But this is what they're all doing while they're gang stalking. This is what many are doing secretly. They say the name of Jesus, but they hail Satan in their hearts. This is satanic behavior, and it's criminal. It's not impervious to prosecution just because it's spiritually significant. In the same way, a murder that's committed in a demonic means, blood on the wall, some sort of satanic symbolism, that's a criminal act that has a satanic core, and it is equally criminal. It's the same thing with stalking that's committed by the government in concert with the people of the state who are in the shoes of the government. None of them are individuals under the law, under the Constitution, state and federal. They are all in the shoes of the state, and they're going to be prosecuted as the terrorists who are maintaining criminal surveillance of an American citizen. And they are doing so obsessively in the face of the evidence that's exposing them. And that's also how you're witnessing the fact of their demon possession, which is directly relevant to their mental illness, while that physical person in the secular is going to be diagnosed for behavioral health concerns that threaten the lives of American citizens and threaten themselves. So the entity is following to Starbucks. And this is evident through the people of the state that engage in what is meeting. And by meeting, you are stalking. You know exactly where I'm at as I arrive there. And this is stalking in the path, the simultaneity of conduct, which the demons do by driving in the drive-through, at the driveway of the Starbucks drive-through as I arrive at that sidewalk. And this is crossing path that the entity is engaging in. And you will see that reflected. And this is where the demons, Patty, Vivian, who goes by Vivi, and Brian are gang stalking inside of the venue. They're monitoring with the demons that enter into the drive-thru while public corruption is underway. And the people of the state are gang stalking with the city of Ontario, which is the state of California. This is the venue where the entity is also keeping the fake sun, like I documented today, before 6:30 a.m. This is the video that you listen to. It's on video where you're looking at the supernatural, and no one is forgetting. It's only the mentally ill that start over day to day when they're stalking a federal prosecutor. They're stalking the whistleblower. They're stalking the one that's calling them out as the demons that they are and the criminals that they are. The entity is engaging in what is stalking under a fake sun at the Starbucks, as you'll recall, where the employees and the demons are showing their mental illness with the impossible light all over the drive-through wall space that is adjacent to the drive-through window. This is at 7 p.m. Absolutely impossible and ridiculous light activity, which is evident of Tabitha's mental illness and her criminal engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring. The entity is doing so while the entity is engaged in that pattern of conduct under that fake sun that's also outside of the building, the same building that it is this morning at 6:30 a.m. All right. This is the entity that's engaging in what is real-time observation. This is voyeurism. That's also relevant to the mental illness. And this is why you have the Ontario Fire Department entering inside of the venue. This bald-headed fire department employee is a demon that's gang stalking at the same venue at 10 o'clock in the morning in images, and with knowledge of his being documented, he enters exhibiting mental illness, like I said. And it's currently 7:42 a.m. where he is stalking in the path with Vivian, Patty, Brian, Elena, Alana, Tabitha, and this demon that goes by the name of G. He's no actual G though. He engages in stalking in bathrooms. The entity is engaging in this P.O.C. and the Ontario Fire Department, which is again Michael Gerken's handiwork. He's being removed from position, and the Ontario Fire Department is engaged in domestic terrorism. And this is supposed to be, again, not only bare bones criminal conduct, but also the entity that is very fearful. They put themselves in harm's way with regard to prosecution as they enter in to be documented for federal prosecution. Pacing with the people of the state that go in and out of the bathroom, sharing in mental illness. It's 7:43 a.m. And what you will see, the Ontario Fire Department engaged, that's the same city of Ontario, sharing in the criminal engagement as a pattern of conduct with the people of the state. The Latino male with the black hair and the glasses, he gets up on cue, pacing through the cafe, engineer light on the floor, fake sun in perfect alignment with my person, while the city of Ontario enters in, sharing in the criminal pattern of conduct, and that's with real-time knowledge that they're being documented. This is the mental illness that's shared by the entity that's acting directly and vicariously. And this is psychopathic behavior relevant for prosecution and diagnosis. It is currently 7:45. Those images will be reflected on the Google Drive. And I just want to document some license plates real quick. The entity that, hops in his vehicle. This is license plate 9RYY952, that's the mentally ill person that's pacing into a bathroom in order to gang stalk me with the Ontario Fire Department. This particular male, Caucasian with the salt and pepper mustache is gang stalking under the 10 a.m. fake sun. It's after 10 a.m., but this is an approximation. You'll see him gang stalking under the fake sun where he is. The fake sun has crossed the street and it's over my head while I'm on the sidewalk, but it's nonetheless present, and the entity engages in conduct like it takes 4 hours for the sun to cross the street, and then it remains over the building for the rest of the day. And then also, when I go to the parking lot where the Ontario Fire Department are gang stalking pursuant to criminal summoning, they're maintaining presence and doing so via criminal summoning under that 11:09 a.m. fake sun. And this is where you're understanding the evidence, which the entity is engaging in what is disregarding while they're being shown to be terrorists who are stalkers and sex offenders. The entity is engaging in this P.O.C. Ontario Fire Department is not driving an official vehicle today gang stalking. He's driving a white Tesla. And he is doing so with real-time knowledge. This is what the entity is always doing, monitoring the evidence against them, which is also relevant to how long you're going to federal prison. It's relevant to diagnosing the severity of mental illness. It's relevant to civil damages. License 9BXW399. That is the white Tesla that the Ontario Fire Department is monitoring with, while the Ontario Police Department are stalking in the path with light activity, engaged in criminal summoning. At the same time, they're at the intersection, because impossible light activity is reflecting on the inside. Yeah, Ontario Police Department is gang stalking right now, crossing path on East Street. They're doing so monitoring with the Ontario Fire, and they're monitoring with Brian, Elena, Tabitha, Alana, Patty, Vivian, and G, who are subject to federal prison. All of them are. They're engaged in gang stalking on an ongoing CEASELESS basis with the Ontario Fire Department, the Ontario Police Department, and the Ontario Police engaging in a pattern of kidnapping, and that's why they're going to federal prison. Their impunity with regard to their reporting to work every day, engaging in gang stalking me, and then exhibiting severe hostility, which again is communicated through the specific environment. When I'm being molested all day long inside of your cafe that you work in, and you're stalking me with audible activity while you're monitoring my vagina as well in the bathroom, and you're pacing like a psychopath while you're preparing coffee drinks designed to monitor me while the company is making money, and you're doing it under the fake sun, you are going to federal prison while you're doing that with the Ontario Police Department, and you're monitoring every ounce of the evidence against you. That's why the employees of the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue are subject to federal prison. It's impunity, it's malice, and this is the ordinary target individual is subject to kidnapping. The entity is engaging in what is bullying American citizens, and they're going to be bullied with the law, and they're going to federal prison. It's zero tolerance for this. This is a corrupt police department that's stalking day and night by helicopter, and this is exactly what I was telling you last night. The people of the state are engaging in gang stalking like you see the Ontario PD doing by helicopter, which they were doing last night, and then they're engaging in what is gang stalking inside of the cafe. All they're doing is centering that P.O.C. around coffee. There's no difference at all. All they're doing is buying coffee drinks, and they're gang stalking inside of a cafe, which is also relevant to the malice. Malice is relevant to diagnosing mental illness, malicious conduct, okay? Engaging in what is inexplicable conduct. You don't even have any, why are they, I'll tell you why, because they're demons, which is also evident through the environment and the behavioral pattern. But I just want to document that it's currently 7:48 a.m. That's Ontario Fire and Ontario Police, City of Ontario gang stalking together. And this is relevant to the video that you just listened to, and the video that you will see on the not on the podcast, you will see on the website, on the YouTube channel this is the P.O.C, and on the P.O.C website. Forgive me, I'm observing right now, that's why I'm BAJY185 and license 8UFH695. And the Ontario Police Department, I want to be clear, they're being disbanded. And so in real time while I'm documenting, Ontario Fire enters in driving a white Tesla, not driving a government vehicle. Not legally relevant with regard to removing liability. Just want to be clear, when you're operating in your official capacity, you're going to federal prison for gang stalking as a police department. You're bearing those weapons, you're bearing that badge. You are exercising authority under the law. That's what you represent. That's a threat, and it's also psychological torture, because the police are in the role when they're gang stalking. They engage in the pattern of stalking the targeted individual, and they do so passive aggressively. So they'll engage in criminal summoning all over the place. They'll engage in what is stalking by helicopter. They'll engage in what is being all around that target individual, and that specific environment is what is proving it. And this is the Fed's ability to prosecute police departments that are gang stalking American citizens, and your ability to recognize an environment and the behavioral pattern of the corrupt police departments is the P.O.C. The way I've explained that and documented it in order to prove it. It's an identical pattern. The reason why it's also identical is because it's demon possession, it's demonic activity. So the demon possessed are engaging in the same exact behavioral pattern. It's demonic. Okay, so it is a precise formula, never deviating from it. And not only that, the entity is engaging in what is heavy documentation of Ontario Police. I'm documenting everything these demons doing because they're being disbanded. So what they're doing in real time, Ontario Fire comes in while they're all of them engaging in voyeurism, listening to me document. So Ontario Fire Department, an unlawful threat, a previously documented kidnapper, decides to walk in to monitor and gang stalk with these demons, these baristas who are going to federal prison for it. And the government's going to be dealt with directly, but the people of the state, you're going to prison. Both sides of the criminal conduct, the conspiracy. These high school graduates that are coming in making 15, 20, however much you make to make coffee these days at Starbucks, you're going from that to prison. Okay, the entities engaging in that, coming in and gang stalk with the people of the state, and you're getting each other in trouble because this is the breakdown. This is how it's going to work in court, and you're going to federal prison for that. They're doing the same thing with the Ontario Police Department. So while Ontario Fire walks in, this is chronologically what you just listened to me document. Ontario Fire, that's the government walking in, monitoring with them while they always engage in the same P.O.C. while they're monitoring my evidence. And then as the Ontario Fire leaves, Ontario Fire is monitoring, and this is their hostility at the same time. These are psychopaths, very passive aggressive, psychopathic level of passive aggression, okay? Very passive aggressive. Ontario Police, enraged, obsessed, psychopath, stalking day and night, hostile because I'm exposing the entire department, and they are being disbanded for repeated kidnappings. They are not surviving. They are done. And not only are they being disbanded, you're done with law enforcement. They're not going anywhere else to ever have anything to do with law enforcement. And so those demons are very hostile, but those are psychopaths. You're a criminal, you're engaged in terrorism, and you're mad because you're being exposed. That's what's working for the Ontario Police Department, but it's the same entity. So as Ontario Fire crosses path in that white Tesla, Ontario Police are gang stalking at E Street and Euclid under the fake sun that's still here 12 hours later. You already know that, where this same department is stalking at the same venue in helicopter, where these same employees are engaged in that same pattern of conduct, same elements, and the population's engaging in it with them, while the Ontario Police turn on their vehicle lights at the intersection where the entity is controlling the traffic lights in order to engage in stalking in the path, loitering in the path, turning on their lights, and then turning while they are on Euclid and E Street, they are headed in the direction north, and they turn west onto E Street as I'm documenting, and they're crossing path, creating light activity. This is exactly what Corporal Tadowski is engaging in, where impossible light activities appearing inside of this cafe at nightfall, just like it is during the day. It's happening at night because it has nothing to do with the fake sun. It has nothing to do with the reflection of sunlight. These are demons that stalk with light, and their mental illness is going to be diagnosed based on that pattern of conduct. It's absolutely demented, and it's also speaking to a threat that you pose to yourself. While you practice that, you derive pleasure from it. You engage in more of it as it's exposed about you, and you're doing it for a criminal purpose. And they could not answer a question as to why they're engaging in it. They're not even in a position to admit that they're engaging in it. These are delusional psychopaths that think that, oh, no hands, no touching, not looking, not talking, can't prove it's me. That's not how this is going to go. You're going to be diagnosed and prosecuted. But nonetheless, this is why you maintain a pattern of conduct. But nonetheless, the entity is gang stalking with Ontario Police who cross path, and they're doing so under this fake sun at 7. The Ontario Police Department are engaging in criminal summoning at nightfall in the specific environment, like Corporal Tadowski is engaging in. And during the day under the fake sun, like the Ontario Police do at this same venue at 11:09 a.m., where the sun would never be present, remaining over one venue, as I'm documenting the employees who are going to federal prison and the entity that's gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department. That gang stalking pattern at this venue is showing the maintenance of a fake sun where you're targeting, and only psychopaths engage in what is passive aggressive means of stalking someone. Only Satan concocts that, but the pattern of conduct proves that that's exactly what the mentally ill are engaging in. They're surrounding inside of a cafe, engaging in surveillance. It's a very sick and depraved conduct, and they're doing it in concert with the city of Ontario. And this is indicative of what the state of California is engaged in. This is how I have the pattern of conduct in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is how I have the pattern of conduct in Monrovia, California, where the sun is not over the courtyard by Marriott, at Town Place, at Huntington, and remaining over Starbucks all day long. This is the asininity. When you hold Satan to what are facts, Satan cannot, there's nothing, he cannot tangle with that. There's nothing he can do with it. And it is not going to be a controversy. It's not a mystery. So the entity is going to be prosecuted, and the policies with regard to the severity, the unlawful threat, the unlawful means of targeting an American citizen, oh, federal prison is required. Federal prison is required, and no gang stalking mayor is staying in office. No gang stalking city council is going to remain in position. No gang stalker over the airport. No gang stalker over the fire department. No gang stalker over the ambulatory services provided in the city who are stalking in ambulances. Your mental illness is going to be put at the forefront, and you're disqualified from being in the medical profession at any level, by the way, because of everything that's exposed when the entity is engaged in gang stalking, okay? And this is all designed to try to falsely depict the character of the target individual. This is absurd. Their mental illness is dripping and it's flooding all over. It's all over the place, the fact that these people are sick, all right? But nonetheless, it's public corruption. It's currently 7:56 a.m., where the entity's obsession is still engaging in the surveillance. And this is also relevant because the demon-possessed are this maniacal, and they will not, and this is also why federal prison and diagnosis is necessary, because the entity will not relent regardless of how obvious and how absent the secret is until they're put in the appropriate facilities. Okay, it's 7:56 a.m. and I want to document the license plate, so I'm going to go ahead and pause here, and I'm going to resume with the license plate that I documented thus far. It's 7:56 a.m. at 507 North EUCLID Avenue. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 7:56 a.m. at third-party facilitating venue 507 North EUCLID Avenue, and as I stated, I want to make sure that it is documented on the record. The Ontario Police Department gang stalking by helicopter, where this same population is stalking me, where they all know that I sleep, and that knowledge is proven through the maintenance of that supernatural environment, where that environment is evidence of stalking by a group. That group is the state of California, and that is in concert with the people of the state. So this is what the entity is doing overnight, and the entity is stalking by helicopter, and then they're engaging in the ceaseless pattern of conduct just inside of any venue. At the library, they're engaging in criminal surveillance while they're entertaining the things that are relevant to being in a library, checking out books, working at the circulation desk, asking to rent out DVDs and videos and a part of the reading program where they're all in engineer light with multiple shadows on the inside of that building under the fake sun that remains over that building for the duration of the day. This is all, it's the same pattern of conduct. You're only engaging in what is stalking with regard to the immediate circumstances of the nature of the venue. It's happening at the mall, it's happening at the grocery store, it's happening on the freeway, it's happening at the hotel, it's happening at my home, it's happening at work, all right? It's happening at any location, as I've stated. So this is the entity that is engaging in this P.O.C. and is doing so while the level of obviousness is off the charts. So at 507 North EUCLID Avenue, the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct and is doing so while the entity is stalking en route to the venue, and that evidence of stalking en route to the venue is captured while the entity is engaging in what is the meeting behavior. This is what I was describing. Meeting is evidence of what is stalking. There's not a coincidence in the specific environment. It's pursuant to surveillance, pursuant to real-time and ongoing ceaseless knowledge, which is also an illegitimate interest of the government, and the government is hiding behind, and this is no longer a secret, the government is hiding behind the unintelligent population who are the people of the state, who have shown that they're demons, they've shown that they're stalking, they've shown that they're hostile to being documented, meaning you know that you're being documented even while you're exhibiting the characteristics of a paranoid schizophrenic. All right, because again, under the facts, but for gang stalking and monitoring my devices and monitoring me, there's nothing other than being in custody of your phone that's suggesting what is it that you're so hostile about? What is it that you're so anxious about? Me being in being in custody of my phone. When you're in custody of your phone, and I don't bat an eye when they're holding their phones and pacing all around under the fake sun with the police department, with the fire department, in this engineer light threatening my life and safety and well-being. I don't bat an eye. I don't bat an eye. The entity is engaging in what is a pattern of conduct that's supposed to falsely depict the character of the target individual, and so they're losing at their own game, and hence this is where you get harassment by the entity, and it's also an admission, and you're going to federal prison for it because they're speaking as the government. All right, as Tracy Banks and the Ontario Police Department have exhibited, the entity immediately engages in tactics such as criminal summoning in order to kidnap you upon necessarily making up allegations. And by the way, allegations of using your phone is not a violation of the law, and where the government is gang stalking you, you are not in violation of the law. This is exactly what American citizens are going to do. And the government that speaks and tries to impede upon that ongoing investigation is going to federal prison. Simple as that. All right, so the entity is engaging in the P.O.C., and so the demons that are engaging in what are meeting, this is stalking. Stalking as a population, and starting it off is license 6JWK326. And this is upon my arrival at the driveway at 5:40 p.m. And this is providing, while you see the brake lights, while you'll see the vehicle that's crossing a path, light activity, and while I'm in operation, my communication device as well. And this is the business that is Starbucks that is engaging in monitoring, and that's getting directly to the third parties who are inside of the venue, which includes Patty, Vivi, known as Vivian, and Brian. Are those who are documented in the path as I walk into the venue, but those gang stalking with Starbucks employees and Starbucks the corporation, because the establishment is going to be prosecuted. Companies, businesses, the logo itself is what you're going to prosecute. They're treated as persons under the law. You're going to prosecute these commercial persons for engaging in domestic terrorism, for being sex offenders, for engaging in what is federal stalking. You're going to prosecute. So I'm prosecuting Starbucks, and I'm also going to prosecute these gang stalkers working at Starbucks. All right, so this is license plate. The next third-party gang stalking via purchasing from a third-party facilitating venue, a paper plate on a gray Kia EC55B as in boy 09. All right, and a relevant positioning light activity by Euclid Avenue. And maintenance in the path with light activity at the gas station of Chevron. That's perfect alignment with me. They're stalking in the path with light. It's not just Chevron, it's ARCO. It's the entity that's remaining present, but I'm documenting my immediate environment. And so this is what you'll see reflected in the images. It's gang stalking. License 5DNX 602. License 9MHV 520. License 5VOG 870. License 7THX 757. And upon entrance, again, you'll see Brian, you'll see Vivian, you'll see Patty. They're stalking in the path. They're monitoring with the demons who are in the drive-thru. And they're all in engineer light. As you can see, the image that I take at 6:22 a.m. On the ground, you'll see that they're all ordering drinks. The fire department's entering in, ordering drinks, which is the city of Ontario. The municipality that empties the garbage, stalking in the path with the method of flashing light, exhibiting severe demon possession, which is mental illness, is coming into their flashing of light in the path in engineer light that fills this Starbucks cafe, which is not caused by the light fixtures on the ceiling. That's impossible light activity. Which is relevant to the fake sun in alignment to this venue that remains for over 12 hours, while the venue itself, Starbucks, is filled with engineer light. And my picture that I'm taking of the floor showing two shadows of myself. I'm holding up one hand, but I have two shadows of my hand on the floor. You're looking at the table and you're looking at two shadows, as I refer to, for example, a stuttered shadow. My shadow is stuttered. That's impossible light activity. And speaking to the environment where flashing of light is relevant to monitoring, where walking around in this environment, these are the demon possessed who are pacing. This is your ability, this is context, and then you're able to see what you're looking at. These are mentally ill people who are pacing, and they're pacing in a building, stalking one person. This is literally the criminal pattern of conduct that's going to serve to diagnose them. And they're going to be prosecuted for domestic terrorism. And the city of Ontario, the government, the state, is sharing in that mental illness, sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct. And they're doing so with knowledge and intent. Literally, the supernatural character of the environment and the malicious behavioral pattern is the evidence of intent. You are intentionally and knowingly engaging in it. And it's impossible to have a coincidence with regard to this P.O.C. For example, being in Azusa, California, being in Arcadia, California, being in Monrovia, California, being in Las Vegas, Nevada. The entity has the fake sun rising over me at 7:50 a.m., where I'm documenting in August of 2024. And that's where the fake sun remained as I exited, as I refer to this over and over again, because it's a specific environment. The entity, even from state to state, is keeping a fake sun over me with regard to knowledge of who I am. As you maintain that obvious means of what is not possibly the sun, all the demons who are gang stalking are admitting to knowing exactly who I am. It's the same with the impossible light activity. All right, so this is, again, mental illness exhibited by the gang stalkers who are maliciously engaging in a pattern of conduct that is intentionally designed. It's supposed to appear only on the surface, because when you dig into the substance, this cannot hold water. And it's under no circumstances anything that the law supports. They are exercising fictitious authority under the law, abusing it while manufacturing, creating the illusion of mental illness of a targeted individual. And that's government conduct. That's the state engaging in that. That's public corruption, shared by the people of the state who are intentionally coming in, taking time out of their day to come engage in a little bit of surveillance in Starbucks. And that's exactly what you're doing as an employee. All right, the additional license plates include the people of the state, gang stalking under the fake sun. This is literally another employee, Alana, at 6:22 a.m., stalking in the path as I walk outside, which requires you are waiting, lying in wait, waiting for me to move because in order to engage with the demon-possessed you, coming right in front of me as I make any sudden movement. They do the same thing with noise as I make any sudden movement. They also do that when I speak of very damning evidence that they don't like to hear, like how they monitor my vagina. You'll hear how they get louder and louder and it's activity creation. But they are also doing that because they don't like the truth that I'm speaking about, their sexual perversion, their criminal conduct that they're going to be prosecuted for. As loud as you get, it's audible activity in relevant position under the fake sun, which is also on the record already. So this is what I'm saying. They're not getting out of the evidence of the P.O.C. So nonetheless, this is the pattern of conduct that I'm subject to while I am documenting the people of the state surrounding as I walk outside of the venue. This is license 7X-VG779, the vehicle that Alana, an employee here that is currently present, gang stalking with the Ontario Police as well, using criminal summoning as a means of engaging in the elements of monitoring. Under the fake sun, all means of targeting me, all right? And Alana is under the fake sun that you can see as she walks into the venue, crossing path, stalking in the path, again, cutting my path off as I walk outside of the front door, which is psychopathic stalking behavior. They do it with a straight face. They do it with a calm demeanor. They do it while they don't know you. This is supposed to be the mask of anonymity. All right, and there's no mask there. So you're ripping that off and you're looking at the stalkers, their bare bone conduct, and you're diagnosing mental illness for the ways in which they're engaging in targeting American citizens. And it's all state action. So the people of the state gang stalking, again, that's license 7XVG779. License plate, obviously the City of Ontario's gang stalking, license plate DF14A08. That's a paper plate on the back of a trailer of a third party that's stalking in the path with flashing lights. Very demonic behavior, and that is recognized within the context of the specific environment. This is what's relevant with regard to the flashing lights, and that occurs in many manners. The municipality is stalking in the path surrounding with flashing light. The entity is stalking using the turn signals, using the hazard lights, doing so while they are engaged in any method of pacing. It's the light activity with regard to monitoring, and their demons engaging in that. And that's very mentally sick behavior they share in that in the specific environment. License 22196E3. License plate. I'm going through my documentation. So this is everything you'll see reflected, uploaded to the Google Drive thus far. Remember, everything that is documented up to the minute is uploaded to the Google Drive, and it is on the P.O.C. website at thisisthepoc.wordpress.com. The entity is pacing inside of the Starbucks where the fake sun is in perfect alignment with me, where I'm positioned inside of the cafe, which is also how you know that everybody in the building is stalking me. They're walking into the bathroom stalking, very disturbing and demented behavior. And they're doing so, the evidence of impulsive light all over the walls of the bathroom, all over the walls adjacent while they're crossing path and engineer light, gang stalking another person while they're walking into the bathroom. And that's supposed to, on the surface, appear as though it has nothing to do with the targeted individual. And the fact is, everything that they're doing, even saying, which is audible activity, is centered on the targeted individual, while this mentally ill population that is demon-possessed is engaged in gang stalking. That's why a fake sun and engineer light is present. License plate. License plate 9MMS433. And license plate, paper plate on an I.I.S company vehicle, QJET498, with the date 7/20/25. It's a paper plate, and remember, the entity is aware of the fact that they're being documented. Any acts of obstruction trying to conceal your identity, for example, a gang stalking police officer that doesn't provide their name, doesn't provide their badge number, that's an enhancement. That's another federal charge for obstruction of justice. The entity is engaging in this P.O.C. Let me get more license plates that I documented this morning. If I have any more, yes, I do. It is currently, by the way, 8:09 a.m. where the fake sun's remaining at the same venue where I'm capturing that video at 6:30 a.m. The entity is monitoring right now while you're listening to all manner of audible activity and light activity. License 6YTN684. just gang stalking on the way to work. This is what the state of California, this is what the U.S. engages in while they're targeting American citizens as a population. Vivian engaging in what is stalking as an employee, pacing in and out of the bathroom, and you will see the impossible light all over. The evidence is surrounding her as she walks out at 7:21 a.m., monitoring me. Okay, a very sick and demented conduct, and this is what they're doing all day long with the population that's pacing in and out of the venue and pacing in and out of the bathrooms relevant to where I'm positioned inside of the venue. And they're doing it in enduring light and under an enduring fake sun, where all of that population that is demon possessed is stalking one person, and the one person that they're stalking is the one that they know that is capable of letting you know about what they are and what they're doing. And that's also how you know that they're demons, and the inexplicable conduct of the government to choose to target me. This is why. Okay, let me get another license plate right now amongst the impossible light activity. License 8SFH735, and I believe I got that license plate already. It's currently, again, like I stated, 8:11 a.m. and the entity is keeping the fake sun while the people of the state are passing by in traffic. It's totally opposite of what the experience, which is why I document, for example, in West Covina, where the West Covina Police Department's engaged in criminal summoning, like the Ontario Police Department are, and if you're paying attention to my documentation, like the Upland Police Department are, while the fake sun remains over me. While I'm driving my vehicle, the fake sun moves in real time because it remains over my head through my sunroof. It remains through my driver's side window while it's gang stalking on the whatever is the east side of my person. All right, through my vehicle as I'm documenting, and also on Omnitrans when I'm in a third party's vehicle. Also when I'm on the passenger side of Tracy Banks's vehicle, as I heavily documented when she was driving vehicle with the license plate 4WON432. And you will pay attention to that fake sun moving in real time. But when these demons who are gang stalking me at the venue, Starbucks, where the entity keeps the fake sun stationary for the duration of the day, that's how I have it at the end of the day. That's how I have it in the afternoon. That's how I have it over my head, where Ontario police are engaged in criminal summoning, exhibiting mental illness while they're maliciously gang stalking another person, while giving all their physical attention when you're only looking at the surface level of the matter to another person, and that other person is a third party that's also gang stalking me. But they're doing it under a fake sun that's remaining stationary at 11:09 a.m. This is how you're documenting and proving that Satan is stalking you. Satan is a liar, and you nail Satan down to facts which Satan cannot cope with, okay? And Satan is a spirit, and that's why I'm not going to mince words. These are the demon possessed, and so that's exactly how I'm going to refer to them as to what they are, and their behavior is also proving it. And with regard to a prosecution in court, we don't have to talk about Satan and ghouls and demons. You're going to refer to malice, okay? You're going to refer to mental illness. And that's also the same thing with legislation. That's how you're going to address it with regard to policies and with regard to diagnosis, with regard to prosecution, with regard to addressing law and legislation surrounding this demonic system. Okay, so anyway, this is the entity that's engaging in that P.O.C, and I want to add as many license plates as I can because I documented a lot thus far. And you're always paying attention because I am adding to the pattern of conduct, the evidence of it, because the entity is never ceasing to be engaged in gang stalking. License plate, yeah, Ontario Fire enters in while I begin this podcast this morning, and you will see in images of, epic with regard to evidence. 7:44 a.m., this same gang stalker of the Ontario Fire Department, mental illness 101. Those to be removed from positions in the government, positions in the corrupt, at every level of corrupt government, which is the Ontario Fire Department, Michael GERKEN, and everyone affiliated with the Ontario Fire Department. Mentally ill, demon-possessed, criminals engaged in gang stalking. And that is what is exhibited while you see at 7:44 a.m. And I'll go ahead and go through my evidence and upload an image of the screenshot so you can see him gang stalking me under the fake sun that's still here 3 hours from now, where he's gang stalking under the guise of purchasing beverages at a facilitating venue, pacing in the engineer light under the fake sun, gang stalking, and doing so while representing the government, the Ontario Fire Department. I'll show you a screenshot of that. The sun is never going to be at one address, or especially where you have Florida, that's 3 hours ahead of us. So how is the sun over Florida? Well, I'm documenting what is in a natural environment, one sun, that's in constant movement, but it's not. What I'm showing you, it's remaining over one building where the Ontario Fire Department are able to stalk me under it for the duration of the day, like I'm documenting. 3-hour difference, duration of time analysis is what is relevant, in literally the same address, while this demon of the Ontario Fire Department comes in to provide a wealth of evidence against himself, the City of Ontario, the Ontario Fire Department, and the State of California, in addition to the people of the state who are going to federal prison for gang stalking me with the City of Ontario. But nonetheless, this is the entity that is more mentally ill and obsessed with me, and a delusion with regard to there's no successful sacrifice unto Satan when your secret has been exposed, but the entity is incapable and delusional. And so they are, again, accumulating an epic prosecution under law, okay, with physical consequences. And not just merely a spiritual return to sender. You're going to an actual cell. You're going to be actually diagnosed. You're going to have an actual criminal record. You're going to actually pay me damages. I'm going to actually serve to what is expose this company for engaging in domestic terrorism. There are physical consequences for what they're engaging in. The mentally ill who are the demon-possessed are delusional, even as they continue to engage in that P.O.C. But it's relevant to the threat that an American citizen has a right to not be subject to. It is currently 8:15 a.m. and this is the P.O.C. I remain at 507 North Euclid Avenue. I'll go ahead and document the entity as keeping the fake sun is where the employees that include, let me go ahead and document that again for the record. The current employees that are present, these are demons that are wearing Starbucks barista aprons, and they're gang stalking on the job, which is what, unfortunately, the corrupt state of California is engaging in, federal group stalking and monitoring, gang stalking. It is embedded into society. This is a corrupt society that's engaged in criminal surveillance, number one, and amongst this system of surveillance that is exposed, as I've exposed it, it's occurring in the environment that is demonic. It's a demonic imitation of the natural environment, and it is an entire illusion. And I'm breaking down that illusion when you're looking at what is plain evidence, tangible evidence that everyone can see with your own eyes, of a sun sitting over one building all day long. And while the entity committed this offense that's documented and sitting on the record, which no one is going to forget, and it remains relevant to everything else that the entity is continuously engaging in, the entity is going to keep the fake sun, like I documented on June 20th, 2025, over the OVITT Family Community Library, even though it kept it over 507 North Euclid Avenue all day long yesterday, and engaged in what is the documented offense of terrorism, stalking and molesting with impossible light as a population. And the employees, some of which include Patty, Vivian, Brian, Alana, Elena, Tabitha, and G, so-called G. This demon, his full name, his government name, is going to be produced. He's subject to federal prison, so he can put an initial. He engages in what is multiple trips to the bathroom, pacing around me. His mental illness is exhibited while he's gang stalking me on the job at Starbucks, a facilitating venue. Not a constitutionally protected business engaging in any sort of private activity where the government is monitoring through you, with you. You have stripped yourself. You are outside of what is the protections of your rights under the Constitution. The government is exploiting that in order to target American citizens. So the gang stalker appear to be in a substantially similar position as a targeted individual. That's absurd, and that's not how the law operates, and that's not what the law provides for, where the entity abuses it. So you are in the shoes of the state while you're in the same, by the way, it's also logical, you're in the exact same specific environment, you're engaging in the exact same pattern of conduct, and you are merely different because these psychopaths that are working for the police department, and you are just a demon that came from your house to come gang stalk inside of the cafe, working or just coming in and purchasing. They are in the shoes of the state, and they're going to be prosecuted as state actors. They're engaged in domestic terrorism. And that's the legal theory with regard to the logical framework of how gang stalking operates. And they're going to be prosecuted for what they're committing. And it's 8:18 a.m. Let me get you one more license plate. Pacing into the bathroom, molesting me with a shadow while coming in, pacing in to purchase a beverage, license 8RZA 897. And the demons have an ongoing demonic synchronicity while they're monitoring me together. It is currently, again, 8:18 a.m. This is P.O.C. The employees that are engaging in this ongoing criminal facilitation with the City of Ontario. This is all state action, what they're engaged in. Again, that is Patty, Vivian, Brian, Alana, Elena, Tabitha, that are engaged in this P.O.C. And doing so. This is just with regard to what I'm documenting. All the third parties employed at the venue are engaging in this pattern of conduct. All right. This is P.O.C. It's 8:19 a.m. Alrighty, that is the entity giving evidence of what is stalking on behalf of the police in a bathroom. It's called relevant positioning, light activity, and audible activity. The entity cannot stand to be separated from me with regard to molesting my person with light. License 75740AT is, O82 is monitoring my vagina, and so is Vivian and Patty, Brian, Alana, Elena, Tabitha, and the so-called G. Every other third-party license plate that you heard this morning, they're sharing in the perpetual sex offense, while the demons that fling around light, those creepy demon-possessed stalkers enter into the bathroom. 9FTL220 enter into the bathroom to engage in what is stalking in a bathroom, to engage in one of the elements of monitoring to pace around you in the bathroom. And they're doing it under the fake sun. It's currently 8:28 a.m. This is P.O.C. This is bathroom monitoring. That Starbucks, the company, and Starbucks employees, all of them are sex offenders. They're also engaged in terrorism with the police, who are monitoring my vagina through the stalkers, who are the people of the state. It's currently 8:28 a.m. This is P.O.C. following into the bathroom, which is P.O.C. All right, and what you will see is surrounding. You'll have the demons go into the male restroom, which is physically surrounding while the entity is amplifying audible activity inside of the bathroom walls. And the entity wants to be next to me while my vagina is exposed while I'm in that private space. And this is where you have the people of the state of the female gender enter in to engage in the elements of monitoring. And this is the Ontario Police Department that has no legitimate government interest in monitoring my vagina. And this is what they're doing under the fake sun and engineered light, engaging in what is surveillance by surrounding while I'm in a private space, which is also terrorizing, and it's sexually motivated, it's predatory, and it's entirely perverted. This is what the employees are going to be prosecuted for as well. Starbucks, the corporation, and this is the state of California's sex offense, stalking in bathrooms. And the demon that is walking out covered in engineered light, crossing path into the fake sun, monitoring my vagina, and doing so on behalf of the state. It's 8:30 a.m. You'll see this in images. I will go ahead and underscore. And that is Tabitha, engaging what is surveillance, monitoring my vagina with a male that goes into the male restroom. That's called relevant positioning. You're looking at a big picture. So the fake sun, the engineered light, the pacing by the demons, they've already shown everything that they're doing. So with knowledge of all the pattern of conduct, you're going into relevant positioning in the male restroom where they're pacing, and they're doing so while they're all corporate knowledge. This is an unprecedented sex offense committed also under the name of a company, which you're going to prosecute for as well. But you're going into the restroom, and the women's restroom, crossing a path, and Tabitha does so with impunity and malice. That is an obsession with monitoring my vagina, does so with impunity. She knows that she's going to federal prison, and she decides, just like the Ontario Fire Department, knows that they're documented, witnessing me documented, and decides to walk in and communicate an unlawful threat, representing the government, gang stalking. This is what the psychopaths who are violent sex offenders engage in, doing so while this is not sunlight, so this is a molestation. They're walking in the evidence, pacing into the bathroom, surrounding in the men's restroom, and also they're all surrounding, monitoring my vagina together on the inside of the cafe as I limit it to just 507 Euclid Avenue. Every demon on Euclid Avenue, this entity, the city, the Ontario Police Department knows about the status of my vagina and everything going on in that bathroom, while Tabitha walks in to maintain the criminal elements monitoring my genitalia. That's an exceedingly violent sex offense that she's committing as a company, she's committing as an entity, and I'm going to prosecute both facets of that that aspect of that crime. I'm doing so with the male that walks into the men's restroom, and you're looking at all the light that's all over while they're monitoring together, okay? And this is corporate engagement in that sex offense. It's currently 8:32 a.m., and I will go ahead and give you some detailed images regarding what it is that you're looking at while the perpetual sex offense is committed as an entity, P.O.C. Okay, the screenshot that you will see captured and the light activity that you'll see captured inside of the cafe and the relevant positioning that you will see captured inside of the cafe is pursuant to federal stalking, criminal activity, surveillance by the state while they are monitoring the podcast that the demons who are gang stalking are aware of my processing. So as I go from activity to activity on my device, the demons come and sit around, or you can see the African American female. She's engaged in prolonged surveillance. So she's loitering in the path. That's what it is. It's a federal offense. It's called loitering. This is the government that's engaged in surveillance, no warrant, no probable cause, no legitimate government interest at all. Surveillance is not lawful in the United States. Just to engage in surveilling every detail, every aspect, ceaseless surveillance of an American citizen, let alone with the people of the state. as I have termed them, but let alone with the civilian population, gang stalking is under no circumstances constitutional. It does not exist with regard to authority by the government. Nonetheless, they are doing so pursuant to what I'm doing on my phone. And so I took a screenshot just to give you a sample of what they're doing ceaselessly. And these are psychopaths. This is mental illness exhibited, and they have the demonic synchronicity. Sitting around, going into the male restroom, going into the female restroom, walking out, you'll see their shadows swiping across the floor. Now in the afternoon, when the fake sun is sitting above the building and the demon possessor engaging in the same pattern of conduct, as opposed to the engineer light that is going from the chairs from the opposite walls and then maintaining movement down to where it disappears, as though sunlight would ever engage in that, and the employees and the patrons alike are monitoring, which is understanding pacing, their mental illness while they're pacing. So their criminal conduct is going to be used to diagnose. All right, but nonetheless, the entity is engaging in the pacing conduct, seating and moving seating. This is all pacing around me as I begin opening up the app that they're aware of that I use to process the podcast. You'll have a demon-possessed medical professional. This is why demons are going to be removed from the medical profession. This is what Arrowhead Regional Medical Center is filled with, demons that are engaging in the pattern of conduct, and they are raging psychopaths, maniacal, and they're a threat to themselves and people, and that is entirely disqualified from being in the medical profession. But just so you'll see what's under the fake sun and an engineer light, and stomping in defiance is another demon that's employed with the venue, walking in, listening to my documentation, going into the bathroom to engage in what is demented method of stalking while engaging in federal stalking, and that is the so-called quote-unquote G, monitoring with this demon that's wearing scrubs that is to be removed from the medical profession. But nonetheless, the entity is keeping the fake sun, and they're monitoring and engaging, and everything that you hear is pursuant to the elements of monitoring while they're aware of what it is that I'm doing on my phone. And so that's what I'm capturing. Going into the bathroom, coming out of the bathroom, sitting around, getting up, going in, get their drinks, coming back to their seats, coming in and out of the building. They're monitoring while I'm uploading the podcast. And in the afternoon, like I stated, this is an illusion, an unpersuasive and unintelligent one. You have light that is coming on the inside of the building. The shadow activity is appearing on the seats. These are the same seats that these demons are then sitting in. Okay, they're delusional with regard to you're being prosecuted, but nonetheless, they're sitting in the engineer light. The engineer light that's on the floor, this is present for light activity. As you walk in it, that creates shadows. That's light activity while they're simultaneously monitoring someone. And they're doing it while the light is flat on the ground, and this light that, as I document, progressively moves, and then it is no longer, for example, the shadow of the windows is what it's appearing as. The engineer light creates the image, the shape of whatever it is that engineer light touches, and so this is why you have the windows in the form of this engineer light on the floor, and they're walking in it, they're pacing, they're monitoring, while the fake sun, and this is nothing that sunlight does, and this light reaches into the depths of the inside of the building while the sun is on the outside of the building, and sunlight is not shooting horizontally from the sun that's above us. This is the illusion with regard to gang stalking, clearly observing it, and it's an admission by the unintelligent demons that are gang stalking you, that they know who you are and that they're monitoring. The entity is also creating, the other illusion is the shadow of the building that's on the sidewalk. When the same pattern of conduct is underway, the shadow of the building that progresses into the street, where the fake sun is sitting in the same position over the top of the entrance, where demon-possessed medical employees are gang stalking inside of the venue. Where demon-possessed employees are going to federal prison for gang stalking and highly unintelligent and obvious means of surveillance with the government. In furtherance of murder and kidnapping. Remember, the objective is why you're going to prison. They're monitoring to murder somebody, they're monitoring to defame somebody, which is in furtherance of kidnapping somebody. Because these demons thought that they're going to steal my property by falsely depicting my character with this high school graduate, Tracy Banks, who's going to prison, okay? This is the entity, the highly unintelligent one. So all these illusions, you're gonna prosecute them with it. It's called malice, and they're psychopaths. They're also psychopaths that engage in sick conduct, like crouching in bathrooms, stalking somebody else. That's sick conduct. And your mental illness, again, everything that they're doing is pointing directly to the sick mind state. So there's the illusion with regard to the engineer light that is never the product of sunlight. While it's flat on the floor, they're pacing all in it. They're literally in the evidence. You might as well walk around with the knife in your hand and blood all over, because that's how obvious the criminal engagement in the pattern of conduct is. You're going to be prosecuted. The entity is engaging in the same illusion when it is occurring outside, and the shadow of the building is flat on the ground, and all day long while the fake sun sits over the same location, it doesn't move. You're looking at an illusion while you're looking at the same fake sun over the same address, and the shadow of the building, which is flat on the ground, just like the engineer light, which is flat on the ground on the inside of the building, The shadow of the building is progressively moving into the center of the street, and that's supposed to create the unintelligent illusion. I'm just helping you open your eyes that the sun is going somewhere while the shadow is moving into the street. Okay, this is what the demons, Vivian and Tabitha, are pacing in, and their mental illness, literally they need help, and they're going to get the help, but they're also going to prison. While they're confined, they will be getting the mental examinations that they need with regard to what they actually need is Christ Jesus. But if you're refusal for Christ, you are getting mental examinations with regard to your inability to cope as a functional human being that cannot resist the impulse to harm other people, to psychologically target other people. You're a threat to yourself and others, and that's exactly what you're going to be forced to get attention for, because you are going to suffer the consequences for gang stalking. The government is gang stalking to murder people. The government is gang stalking to kidnap people. So you're going to prison for it. But nonetheless, these are the illusions that they're pacing in. You're pacing in the illusion, you're going to prison for that. It's monitoring. So this is the illusion that's on the outside, on the sidewalk, while I document the fake sun at 6 o'clock in the evening over the same exact building. And this is the highly unintelligent system of gang stalking. The entity is also engaged in the same iteration. While you see the engineer light stationary on the floor, the entity is maintaining the light activity while it's flying in the air. Okay, when the engineer light, let me be clear, you're just looking at highly concentrated engineer light on the floor. The entity, as I've shown you, where I'm showing you my shadow that's appearing on the wall, that's appearing on the seat, where they are walking, sitting in, preparing, pacing all around an engineer light while you can see the shadows on the floor. This is all engineer light that remains. I'm showing you all the different methods of the same maintenance of impossible light activity. They're surrounded in the evidence. Like I said, they might as well be walking around in the nude, and obviously engaging in what is indecent exposure, because this is how obvious the criminal pattern of conduct that they are engaging in is, and they are standing out. Okay, it is very obvious, and the entity that's engaging what is stalking with light, as I document on an ongoing basis, that's flying all over the tornadoes of light, the light that's swimming across the walls, while the people of the state that are gang stalking via the systematic method in California, which is traffic, that's another method of the same stalking with impossible light activity. Okay, so the entity is always engaging in that, and the mental illness is plain with regard to that, the behavioral issues inherent to gang stalking, the malice inherent to that psychopathic endeavor, that desire to psychologically torture somebody, and you don't even know. And the desire is also the secret that you need to know about, is that these are demons, and that's what gives them the desire, the purpose, the intent to engage in it. It is inexplicable, and the explanation is that they're demon possessed. And this is also how you have that in sync conduct. So when you're paying attention to the demons that are at the gas station across the street, pulling up as the demons are walking out of the Starbucks here, they're pacing together, that demonic synchronicity, those are demons. And their target is me. And the evidence, the tangible evidence, so that you who are witnessing what it is that I'm exposing, your knowledge, your ability to know that I'm telling you the truth and that it's the truth, is the fake sun, is the engineer light. These are supernatural features. These are demons. This is all demonic, and it's criminal. It's not impervious to a prosecution. I'm going to prosecute the demon possessed. Impossible light flies across the wall while the bathroom door opens, and that is again the federal offense of the gang stalker Vivian. Goes by Vivi. Okay, she's a short little psychopath, and she's engaging in what is heavily documented terrorism. And impossible light, while she opens the door of the bathroom, which she is targeting me with, and she's committing that at what is 9:03 a.m. They're all engaged in federal stalking, so just want to be clear. The entity is going to be prosecuted. Federal stalking with the government is the basis of federal prison as well, and that's how federal policy is going to be designed. Because of the level of threat, because of the size of the crime, the monstrosity of what the entity is engaging in with the population, they're all engaging in federal stalking together, and the elements of monitoring are facilitating federal stalking on communication devices. And on the internet, that's federal prison in and of itself, let alone the gang stalking crime, which is domestic terrorism. But just want to be clear, Vivian, that's engaging in terrorism in the name of Starbucks, and that is Starbucks engaging in terrorism as well. Impossible light is flying, that's a terrorizing threat. All right, that's terrorizing an American citizen, that's threatening them, that's harassing them, that's frightening them, okay, while you're stalking with light. And they're doing this systematically, ceaselessly. And it's going directly to the mind state of the gang stalker, and it's going directly to that federal prosecution as well. It's currently 9:04 a.m. Just wanted to give you a sample of what they're doing ceaselessly and obsessively, including while I document in real time. They continuously engage in that. This is supporting what is the policy? Mental asylums, federal prison with regard to, and also the criminal record maintenance by the Department of Justice of prosecuted, documented entities, public entities, and also the population engaging in it. Something analogous to the Megan's law, where you are listed as a sex offender because gang stalking is going to be prosecuted as an egregiously violent sex offense. So it is for the benefit of the American public that they know who has been prosecuted for gang stalking for this malicious criminal system that the government is engaging in. And I mean government bodies, I mean the individuals by name, so that they are never able to go in and sneak into any other area in this country and just blend in while they're secretly targeting someone in the ways in which I've shown the people of the state do. And the state does, okay? That's for the benefit of the public, for the protection of the public. So you can't just move into any neighborhood that you want to when you're a prosecuted gang stalker. You can't just get any job that you want to anymore, because there are companies that don't want to hire sex offenders. There are companies, and it's in their interest to not have raging psychopaths that are engaging in maniacal conduct in a malicious manner that is intended to target another person that is in a harmful manner, where they're not able to, when they're engaging in this creepy satanic conduct and you're not able to show, oh, there's no hands and you can't see me doing anything. This is what the demons are doing. They're going to be prosecuted with this nonsense, with tangible evidence. And their mindset is going to be put at the forefront. You want to be a national security threat, you're going to be treated like a national security threat. You want to be a sex offender, you want to be a psychopath stalking in bathrooms, you're going to be prosecuted as that. That's going on your record, and it's going to affect the rest of your life. All right, it's currently 9:06 a.m. This is P.O.C. at Starbucks as I'm publishing the podcast. So I just wanted to start it, taking screenshots of it, and the entity is engaging that P.O.C. This is hey Patty, how's it going? I'm good. She's stalking an engineered light, just like Vivian is, and doing so with Impossible Light, the ongoing monitoring of the evidence. While I begin, I'm literally narrating what I'm about to do, and like clockwork, she's pacing it. That impunity, even the entity that's doing so under the fake sun, Patty is gang stalking with the Ontario police, and she has been systematically. Patty is subject to federal prison. All right, in her mental illness, while she's obsessively targeting, and also in the face of evidence, because normally people that are looking at evidence like this, they don't continuously engage in it in front of the federal prosecutor. Never mind that the demons are delusional and don't want to accept that they're being prosecuted by me. Never mind that they want to be delusional and say things like, oh, you're not a lawyer, when I have a whole law degree and I am trained in the law, and just because you were gang stalking me on the job and I don't pay my fees, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to prosecute you just as profusely as I was if I paid California, which I don't intend to. I don't need to be validated by this gang stalking state. I'll prosecute this state without my bar license active. I don't need it. Okay, so nonetheless, regardless of how delusional they are, it's relevant to their mind state. Okay, Patty's in a bathroom stalking me right now, and Patty is monitoring me while she walks in and out of the bathroom, and Patty's engaging in domestic terrorism, and she's doing it in the name of Starbucks, which is going to be prosecuted, and she's doing it as an entity that is equally obsessed, and another demon will commit the same offense over and over again while they're pacing, and the shared mental illness is exhibited thereby. It is currently 9:07 a.m. This is P.O.C. Let me just go ahead and add this little tad bit. The demons that are pacing in the bathroom, you'll see a Latino male with a cap on. He's stalking in the path while the entity engages in what is flying light, molesting my breast and my face while they're hostile about the documentation that's going on the internet right now. This is P.O.C. These are the psychopaths: Patty, Vivian, Brian, Alana, Elena, Tabitha, and G, with the demons that are patrons gang stalking inside of the venue. Every license plate that I documented, sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct, which is domestic terrorism, and they're sharing in sexual violence, which is what psychopaths resort to when they're being exposed and they're being prosecuted. And this is also what is disbanding the Ontario Police Department: sharing in mental illness, sharing in psychopathic and maniacal conduct, which is satanic at its core, while they're engaged in criminal conduct that's in violation of existing federal law. This is P.O.C. Impossible Light, again, while they're opening the door at the opposite end of the cafe, pattern of conduct is underway. This is all right, that is, I did go ahead and capture images of the demons that are pacing in and out. Waiting outside of the men's restroom is evidence of, these are the demons that are entering in while my breasts are being molested with Impossible Light. The Latino male that's in the bathroom and the demon with the hoodie on. And those are psychopaths that are targeting you. And the outward the outward demeanor of the demons, some of them are very poor actors. This is all poor acting in this specific environment, by the way. But what I mean is some of them, many, I've documented those that are not capable of controlling themselves and that's what I mean by poor acting. But the entity is supposed to maintain a demeanor of not being nonchalant, being disinterested, because it's stalking amongst the mask of anonymity. And there's no anonymity under the fake sun, which you'll see in alignment to me, where these demons that are in the bathroom are molesting me with impossible light. Patty walking in, impossible light appearing behind her on the wall while she's monitoring me. And these two demons that are loitering in relevant position in the men's restroom, my breasts are being molested with impossible light while they walk in at the opposite end. And he is representing B and S. We take the BS out of the pest control. So he's working for a corrupt pest control company, gang stalking at Starbucks under the fake sun, walking in and molesting my breasts with impossible light activity. So I'm going to go ahead and get his license plate really quickly. I'm going to put that on the record. These are the sex offenders that are gang stalking in the state of California, doing so with the people of the state, and doing so with a level of mental illness that needs to be addressed. And that's exactly what's going to be addressed. This is what the Ontario police are gang stalking, engaging in the same thing. It is currently, by the way, 9:10 a.m. Let me get the rest of these license plates as well. License 8NSV951, impossible light while this demon opens and closes the door. License 6BNU400. You got a lot of surveillance in the parking lot, nobody in the drive-thru, but every parking spot is filled. This demon that is gang stalking with the pest control the pest control shirt is engaging in the P.O.C. with the rest of the entity, and is doing so while my body is being molested with impossible light. So license 9DRC048, 7THX757, CY39S70, that's paper. And remember, everything that's happening at the Starbucks is based on what I'm documenting. I literally am the focal point, and as I point out damning evidence, the demons engage in what is adjusting accordingly and in real time. Molesting my breast is not only the pest control company, license plate 87368X3, but this Latino male that's entering in. And I want to be clear, 8CRZ349, I may not agree with President Trump on anything actually, but deporting the people of the state that are immigrants in California is relevant to the criminal conduct that they're engaging in, and it is justice in California. Every gang stalking immigrant shall be deported, and they need to be deported, and they deserve it as a matter of justice. I just want to point that out. So this is, again, the mysterious ways that the Lord's will be accomplished. But like I said, license 8NSV951, they're terrorizing with impossible light while they open and close the door in front of me while I go get that license plate of that sex offender. License 8DHG8357LDT539, molesting me while at the opposite end of the cafe, opening the door. And this is because I'm getting ready to publish the podcast, and it's still going on the internet. And the sexual violence that is shared by the Ontario Police Department is going to serve to disband them. This is the mental illness that the Ontario Police Department suffers from while they're gang stalking and things such as helicopters. 32024W3, 19274J3. This is P.O.C. This is, again, maniacal, psychopathic, and demonic. Light doesn't fly inside of a building while you open doors. It doesn't sweep across the floor while you open doors. It doesn't sit on the inside of buildings and then gradually move toward the window and then the shadow of the building while the fake sun is over it. The shadow of that building then extends out into this is ridiculous. And there are psychopaths that are being documented and prosecuted for it. This is P.O.C. And again, that's shared by the employees. Patty is a part of that sex offense. Tabitha, Elena, Brian, they're all molesting my breasts together while they're monitoring together. They like to fill on you with impossible light activity while they're keeping you under surveillance and stalking you. And they're doing that as an entity, and so is the Ontario Police Department. It is currently 9:13 a.m. This is P.O.C. And this is documentation of what is sexual violence with the intent to obstruct justice. This is what the population is doing while they're pacing in traffic. And impossible light is moving inside of this venue all day long, which I have in not just this Starbucks, but I have it it's a pattern of conduct of the corporation. That's why I'm going to be prosecuting Starbucks civilly and criminally. And Starbucks is an example of what's going on in California. It's a prime example. The prosecution of Starbucks represents the prosecution of the state of California. It's currently 9:14 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, you will see the tactic, which is, again, particularly deplorable. This is somebody that's in the medical field bringing in the mentally incapacitated to participate in criminal conduct with the Ontario police, who are crossing path as well under the fake sun. 9RXF437 is engaging in gang stalking with the police as well. Just want to be clear, that's federal prison. 7HUE336, while they're surrounded with the evidence of the unintelligent system of gang stalking. And you're also aware that the demon possession is equal amongst that third party and amongst that demon that's driving an Ontario Ontario Police Department vehicle stalking me as I move from one side of the venue to the other. As you'll see that reflected in the images, it's 10:25 a.m. so you can track what I'm documenting, taking pictures of and uploading, and as I'm narrating in real time. And this demon that is in the medical field exercising custody over those that are outwardly exhibiting what you would ordinarily refer to as mental illness, perhaps Down syndrome or something analogous to that. They are engaging, first of all, they're engaging in the same demonic behavioral pattern. They are engaging, it's legally irrelevant with regard to whatever physical handicap, mental illness that somebody would claim that they have. Demon possession does not affect that. Being drunk, being high does not affect it. All it does, by the way, is just animate those demons, but it's the pattern of conduct nonetheless. Gang stalking with impossible light on both sides of the vehicle, 7HUE336, and gang stalking with the Ontario Police, stalking me while at the drive-thru while the fake son moves from what is the east side of the venue where I sit on, Jason, where the bathroom part, where they pace in and out of the bathroom to monitor. And as I show you, as I go to the opposite end of the cafe, so does that fake son. But they remain at the opposite end where the entity keeps that fake son as I'm documenting. And that is how you're understanding what they also engaged in as I uploaded my podcast today. They had a bunch of people sit around me. This is creepy conduct as well because they're all stalking. So you're going to be prosecuted for the ongoing terrorism, the perturbing behavioral pattern of the demons that are stalking and monitoring you, such as sounding your alarm because you don't like the details that I include when I'm documenting your gang stalking conduct. That's literally 8SGW078. This is a demon that's gang stalking with the Ontario Police exhibiting the same mental illness, and that's why the Ontario Police are being disbanded. Their mental illness is put on display while the demon possessed stalk inside a Starbucks under a fake sun and an engineered light. And the demons that are to be removed from the medical field, bringing in those that are suffering from mental illness to participate in criminal conduct, bringing in those to engage in what is the gang stalking behavior, to sit around loitering in relevant position so that they can pace less, to engage in what is sitting around me. That's what the entity is doing with regard to, so that Vivian and Tabitha and Elena, Patty, Brian, and Alana don't have to pace around so much inside and outside of the bathroom. So this demon that's particularly in the medical field brought around, and you'll see them, they exhibit a mental illness where you could physically identify it, perhaps something analogous to Down syndrome, and they're sitting around engaged in criminal activity, which is, again, the government facilitates this conduct, and the medical field engaging and participating in this conduct while they're engaging in the same satanic behavior. Pacing, license 9AKT273, and the fake son is over me, by the way, while it's not over the OVITT Family Community Library, which is what I pointed out yesterday. But while I go to the OVITT Family Community Library today, and you're witnessing the evidence of gang stalking while the entire city of Ontario stalks me from one venue to another. That's called stalking from place to place, while they're essentially engaging in surveillance. The entire population is stalking me and keeping me under surveillance while that population maintains presence and the evidence of that specific environment following me, which is terrorism, while you're surrounded by that environment and you're surrounded by the behavioral patterns of psychopaths who are just pacing all around you. Monitoring your vagina, your genitalia, monitoring your physical movements, monitoring your activity on devices, monitoring your activity on the internet, while the government has no legitimate interest. And also, there is no constitutional authority for the government to maintain a satanic system of targeting you. This is why the Ontario Police is being disbanded, while they cross path, while Tabitha's at the drive-through window, gang stalking at that same drive-through window where she is yesterday under the 7 p.m. fake sun, where you're seeing her exhibit her mental illness, which is documented as impossible light activity on that wall adjacent to the drive-through window. Pay attention to the documentation. All right, license PF910, that's handicapped. And these are the demons that are bringing in the mentally ill to engage in federal offenses. All right, that's light activity creation and audible activity creation. And this is why the entity is going to be removed from the medical profession. It's deplorable while they're engaging in what is the pattern of conduct. And I want to be clear with regard to Satan using anybody. You're not, this is how you're understanding there's no exception. 8VVV918. And they are, from antithesis. Well, they are engaging in what is the antithesis of the actual medical profession, the practice of medicine, doing no harm to people, bringing them in to gang stalk somebody else. GV688, this is antithesis. These are the demons that are coming. You'll see her in operation, her communication device. You'll see the fake sun. You'll see the engineered light that she seated all those third parties around me, and they are mentally ill, engaging in the same pattern of conduct. Okay, Starbucks is engaging in the same pattern of conduct. What's disgusting about it is that the government engages in this criminal conduct with minors. The government engages in this criminal conduct with criminals.
the people that they know are violating the law, and they're also violating while they're gang stalking me together. The government engages in this pattern of conduct with as you're witnessing, those who are professionals, and then they go to their job, they go to their law office, they go to the hospital where they're working, they go back to the office where antithesis is engaged in what is the gang stalking at a facilitating venue where they bring in their patients, they bring in their clients to engage in criminal conduct. Again, license PF 910, handicap, and license, this is antithesis, gang stalking with the mentally ill. This is why demons of the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center are going to be removed, because they're engaged in gang stalking inside of that hospital as well, doing so amongst the patients who are inside of that venue under the fake sun and an engineered light. And the evidence of that is also why Starbucks is going to federal prison for gang stalking with the Ontario police. The fake sun that's outside of that window, as I documented, after 6 p.m. In 2022 is not going to be the sun that's remaining over this venue right now. License GV688 is the antithesis vehicle, and the entity is sounding helicopter activity. Like I said, Tabitha, Vivian, Brian, Patty, Alana, Elena, they're going to federal prison. They're gang stalking with the Ontario police who lack self-control, and that's relevant when you're being prosecuted. Okay, remember the fake sun is at 10:31 a.m. I'm already en route to the OVITT Family Community Library. That's how I was able to capture it over my head at 10:38 a.m. This is when you're paying attention to the big picture. The delusional, let me be clear, Starbucks employee license 5VOG870, he or she, it's one of them, it's Patty, Vivian, Brian, Alana, Elena, Tabitha, G, one of them, they're going to prison. They're going to produce their identities because this is how a federal prosecution goes. The demon-possessed are not prepared for that. 9MNK163, gang stalking under the fake sun with the demons stalking in helicopter. The Ontario Police Department that's being disbanded is gang stalking through the corrupt business practices of Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. Let me show you that fake sun, because this is going to be an epic prosecution of Starbucks, civilly and criminally, and I'm going to prosecute their demon-possessed gang stalking baristas. This is P.O.C. 8CEF 557, P.O.C. Alrighty, what you will also pay attention to is that extensive cover over the drive-through window. None of these demons are engaging in what is anything other than monitoring, while the drive-through window is a guise for impossible light activity, but again, it's an unintelligent one. Light activity that you see inside of the Starbucks, where they open and close the drive-through window, where license 8HGT916 is gang stalking. That's called stalking with light. And that's also, you need to know that Starbucks employees are demons preparing your food and drink. And they're also monitoring you, just so that you know that. 8KZM 701, and they're doing so with the government. That's a corrupt business monitoring you, but that corrupt business is gang stalking and monitoring American citizens pursuant to criminal surveillance that the United States has no constitutional authority to engage in. And you're listening to the population that's demon possessed in California being exposed for gang stalking. License plate J555N1, and the fake sun moves away from Starbucks as I move away from Starbucks, and the entity brings in the mentally ill to surround me to engage in criminal activity, and they call that the practice of medicine. They call that not doing harm. This is public corruption, where corrupt police departments like the Ontario Police, who are mentally ill, they're psychopaths, they're mentally ill as well, engaging in the pattern of conduct while the entity is aware of all of these egregious and disgusting and despicable means of monitoring me and my vagina. 8PGE799. This is P.O.C. The entity is going to keep the fake sun over the OVITT Family Community Library, and that is direct evidence, not circumstantial, direct evidence for putting the demons at Starbucks in federal prison, for disbanding the Ontario Police, gang stalking under the fake sun that will not be over Starbucks at 11:08 a.m. like I documented them gang stalking on June 19, 2000. You will see Ontario Police again gang stalking while I'm at what is 417 North Euclid Avenue, and crossing path while the fake sun is over me at 417 North Euclid Avenue. It's not remaining over Starbucks. It's not over the OVITT Family Community Library. It's not over Woodside Senior Apartments. It's not over Alvarado Gardens at my apartment and at work at 1810 North Alvarado Street. It's over me, which is proof of the Ontario Police stalking me in concert with license 9MST899. And that's why Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, L. Martinez, and B. Hook are going to federal prison, and the Ontario Police Department is being disbanded. Now, when you're looking at this fake sun that's moving over me while I'm moving, and the police are stalking me as I go from place to place, the police are acting via third-party license plate 7DZN987. It's the people of the state gang stalking, including through the use of their establishments, which in the United States, since the government is monitoring, as I have proven, the entity is going to be prosecuted based on the company itself stalking American citizens, while that specific environment follows you, which is terrorism, and the people of the state are stalking everywhere that you're going, in concert with corrupt police that exercise authority under the law that they don't have. 7AZH989. That's why the Ontario Police is being disbanded. They're a bunch of unintelligent, unethical, corrupt, sexually perverted psychopaths, maniacs, incapable of controlling themselves even when they're faced with evidence that tends to be detrimental to their interests. You're seeing their mental illness on full display while they still provide evidence, pure, plain, obvious evidence of stalking. This is beyond probable cause. You're looking at their mental illness in plain view. As clearly as you see multiple shadows around me, you're looking at the mental illness of the demon-possessed people of the state and the Ontario Police Department. And while you see a fake sun remaining over me, you're witnessing the evidence of the mental illness of the Ontario Police Department and the people of the state gang stalking. While you see engineer light flying inside of venues and across the sidewalk and all over the road, while demons like the Ontario Police and the people of the state of Ontario, in California, in other words, the people of the state, you're witnessing the evidence of their mental illness and the fact that they're stalking. It is gang stalking, fully exposed. And the Ontario Police Department are being disbanded. All right, this is P.O.C. The municipality is gang stalking. These demons are out here raking the dirt, mowing the grass, blowing the leaves, engaging in federal stalking in the path. It's a government project, it's a government system, and every single last one of them engaging in surveillance. And this is what you need to know, that surveillance is underway throughout this country. And while the entities engaged in surveillance, they sought to target me and thought they were going to steal my property and defame my name and character in doing so. Because this is what they do to American citizens. And no other American citizens are going to be subject to this, since it is now proven that the government cannot be trusted. The government can't be trusted to adjudicate pursuant to the law and the authority that it actually has, while it's engaging in criminal surveillance that it's not telling American citizens that it's engaging in, and then targeting American citizens under laws that are not actually relevant to mental illness when you're engaging in a pattern of psychological torture, and in voyeurism, seeking to create what is a manufactured appearance of mental illness, which the entity does not have over me. This is what the target individual, the ordinary target individual, engages in. Because the normal human being, the average human being, is going to react. And you cannot schedule or prescribe how they're supposed to react to psychological torture. A bunch of psychopaths, a bunch of sex offenders and stalkers. That's not mental illness. Now, the mentally ill that are gang stalking, guess what? They're going to be diagnosed and prosecuted thoroughly. You can mark my words. License 7UG, 7UG-U400 is gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department. That's federal prison, because I'm hearing helicopter activity while those sex offenders are following me, and they also follow my vagina into the bathroom, while creepers like sex offenders like Tabitha want to be in the bathroom next to me so that the Ontario Police can maintain monitoring in that private space. Those sex offenders using helicopters, wasting that level of money on criminal conduct, they're being disbanded. Mike LORENZ is done with law enforcement, and so is everybody else. And the ones whose name you know are done with law enforcement, they include Nathan Morgan, L. Martinez is done with law enforcement, C. Torres, and B. Hook, they're done with law enforcement. So is Corporal Tendusky. That demon is done with law enforcement. They're done. And they're disbanding, they're being disbanded, and they're going to federal prison. Every demon I documented, they're acting in furtherance of my murder, acting in furtherance of my being kidnapped, so that these demons, these unintelligent imbeciles, thought that they were going to defame an American citizen off of their unintelligent system. This is what's supposed to make somebody else look crazy? No, you look crazy. Your crazy is all over the place, and you're going to federal prison. As surely as I documented you, driving around, flying around in helicopters, it's going to be produced. It's not a mystery. You're going to prison. You're going to prison. That is direct terrorism by police officers stalking you, trying to get you in a circumstance where they can take your life and then blame you for it. You're going to prison. License 81999M3, 9NSJ855. And antithesis is gang stalking. They drive into the parking garage over here at the OVITT Family Community Library because that raging psychopath who has no business, she's unfit to be in the medical field and be in custody of those that are mentally ill, bringing them to engage in what is terrorism and criminal activity. And that psychopath drives in. It's not a coincidence. She drives right into the parking garage in relevant position. But I'm engaging in analysis. I'm in a train of thought, so I didn't interrupt my thought. She drove right into relevant position under the fake sun that is following me, which is evidence of the population following me, and she is following me while using the resources of a corrupt business. Stalking in the path is license 7WGX009 with the Ontario Police Department. All right, the mentally ill are also demonstrating that while they are so willingly and enthusiastically ready to go to federal prison for gang stalking with a police department that's not even going to exist. It's currently, by the way, let me give you the time, where the fake sun remains over me, 10:40 a.m. And the fake sun is moving as I move en route to the venue. That's not the natural environment. This sun is not going to be over the sun. The fake sun is not the sun in a natural environment where there's only one sun. And what is over you in Florida 3 hours ahead of us is not the same light source that I'm documenting, proving that the Ontario Police Department are a bunch of unfit sex offenders that are stalking an American citizen that had the presence of mind to document it and prove it, because I understood at the outset how malicious the demon-possessed are. Satan is a liar. He is the father of lies. He's not intelligent, though. He's only like a roaring lion. He's only like a roaring lion. All right? It is currently 10:41 a.m. I'm going to capture the fake sun right now. This is P.O.C. Don't forget about what the Ontario International Airport is doing when I arrive at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Don't forget about what the Ontario International Airport is doing when I'm here arriving much later in the fake sun and flying over this senior citizen complex while these psychopaths, these demons providing evidence against themselves, pacing around the turn circle while they engage in the same exact pattern of conduct. Don't forget that. Don't forget it. And don't forget the evidence of what LAPD is doing while I'm in LA, living and working in LA. It's June 23rd, 2025. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, the same corrupt business. This is antithesis, which is related to the medical field. And you have somebody in custody of those who are mentally incapacitated in one way or another, and they are being brought around by a third party who is engaging in the pattern of conduct. And again, remember, it's personal because the fake sun remains over me as she is stalking while on her job in the medical field, bringing around the mentally incapacitated to engage in criminal conduct and also to target me, especially after I document you. This is a basis of federal prison. You want to follow the federal prosecutor around and stalk more? You want to go to federal prison. P.O.C. You'll see that, and the light source is directly over the elevator. Hi. Do you know what time? I know what time it is. It's 10:43. Never mind. Alrighty, P.O.C. All right, the entity is engaged in what is stalking in the bathroom. This is true to form for the sex offenders who are the people of the state. The fake sun has abandoned remaining over Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, and that's because I am not at that venue. Driving in Impossible Light, 8 TBS 123. This is a male monitoring my vagina, engaged in criminal surveillance with the Ontario Police Department that's being disbanded for this sexual violence. License 9EXJ945, 8DEB 822, 9TXW450. 9FFJ108. They're all engaged in bathroom monitoring together as an entity. These are sex offenders gang stalking. 9MKB123, 9RNU421. Stalking in the path, just parked improperly in the middle of the street to stalk and to maintain presence. This is a stalker monitoring my vagina. 8ZMK944, 8PMR368, 9MHC904. And this is all engineered light I'm going to capture images of while these are demons pacing, and this is what they're doing while my panties are down and a stalker goes in the bathroom to maintain monitoring together. License 7LCF530. All right, outwardly demonstrating mental illness, stalking and monitoring in bathrooms. This is the behavior of psychopathic, mentally ill, antisocial-like type of behavior that is disturbing. It's harmful to other people. It's also sexually perverted. All right, the people of the state are engaging in the government's pattern of conduct of stalking and monitoring the genitalia of American citizens where there is no legitimate interest in such predatory behaviors. And it is actually above and beyond surveillance. So you're engaging in, and those are the ones confirming it while they're monitoring my vagina. And I'll show you the face of the sex offender monitoring me with the city of Ontario that's sounding sirens under the fake sun while minor children are monitoring with them. It is currently 6:13 p.m. The fake sun is not remaining over Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, which is exactly what was the circumstances where Tabitha and Seth and Basilio at Starbucks at 507 are gang stalking and stalking with Impossible Light, like this demon, license 7KLX800. When they drive by the Starbucks on Euclid Avenue, where this population is stalking together with the demons that you hear sounding sirens, and they're being prosecuted, removed from position because they're engaged in what is keeping my vagina under surveillance, and knowing that I don't welcome that sexually perverted attention because they're monitoring my evidence as well. They're engaging in what is gang stalking with the demons who are monitoring me right now at an entirely different location under what is a fake sun, and doing so yesterday at Starbucks, where that fake sun remained over that building, which is what I documented. An impossible light filled that building, which is what I documented. And the people of the state, license 6HJT581, the same population gang stalking, while they crossed path, impossible light was flying inside of that Starbucks. This is the same population monitoring my vagina. Driving an engineer light that's on the asphalt in the shade, the same P.O.C. 9NMW674. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, and as you are witnessing, sex offenders come in all colors, shapes. They come from every neighborhood, all socioeconomic classes. There is no discrimination amongst the demon-possessed that are gang stalking. And that's what you'll learn when you are looking at my documentation, where the evidence, 5HYT172, is not based on any sort of physical appearance or status, which the demon-possessed rely on. The chief of police will be treated like the sex offender that sleeps outside of the dumpster. All right, there is no distinction among them. They're under the fake sun. They're monitoring together. They're pacing like cockroaches in the spirit as the same. It's P.O.C. 38193R2, and they're all together monitoring my vagina. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's currently 6:15 p.m. This is bathroom monitoring at 215 E.C. Street, where the sun is not over 507 North Euclid Avenue at the same time. It's certainly not in Los Angeles in a natural environment where at the same time of year, that's where the sun would be. And it wouldn't be either over Starbucks or the OVITT Family Community Library. And neither is the case in a natural environment where the entity's keeping it over any address for the duration of the day, which is what I'm documenting. Sunlight doesn't appear in the shade. Sunlight doesn't fly in the air. These are demons who are monitoring. This is P.O.C. This is 130 West G Street, where they're engaged in harassment while gang stalking with the City of Ontario. This is also where the Ontario Police Department flew over my head by helicopter as Nathan at 130 West G Street, and the other defendants who are gang stalking and engineer light, stalking in the path with light on G Street. And there's no terminals over here where the Ontario International Airport is taking off over the Mission Furniture at G Street in Euclid. This is the people of the state gang stalking, and as I'm enforcing my rights, it will include federal prison for the people of the state that engage in the documented acts of obstruction of justice while they're stalking in the path like demons. These are terrorists that are monitoring my vagina in the bathroom. All right, this is the City of Ontario gang stalking. First of all, license 8 TMG 8478 VGC 200. This is criminal conduct of the Ontario Police, the City of Ontario. This is stalking with light. These are my two shadows. And here's another shadow over here on this side. This is a demon, and they're stalking with the government. It's a gang stalker. The average demon-possessed citizen in the City of Ontario in the state of California, taking time out of their day to gang stalk a woman in the middle of the night. That's a sex offender. That's a federal case, too. This is P.O.C. Light activity over there. If you'll see, it's a steady, straight flight. They're not rising up in incline. They're not taking off. They're stalking in planes. And there's no terminals over here either. That's crossing path, light activity, and the plane is audible activity. The people are monitoring. These are all demons that are monitoring. And this is directly relevant to the same Ontario Police Department as the City of Ontario that I've been documenting gang stalking all day long inside of Starbucks and inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. And as I travel from one venue to the next, from this venue to the Starbucks to the library and then back here, documented gang stalking all day long. This is the government. This is the City of Ontario that's going to be prosecuted for federal group stalking and monitoring. Stalking using commercial airline planes is the outward demonstration of mental illness. They're exhibiting their mental illness while they're being prosecuted. It's relevant for diagnosis. This is P.O.C. It's 9:36 p.m. (9GTM 316) 98450X3. It is 9:38 p.m. Okay, what you will see at 9:45 p.m. is license AGSPTR that's going to be prosecuted for gang stalking by residents at Woodside Senior Apartments, and also gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport, who is the third time now I captured the video. Seconds later, they fly another plane over 325 West G Street, and they do again as this demon gets in their vehicle to stalk in the path, which is an unlawful threat. It's also a molestation with light, directed light, pursuant to federal stalking with the government, which this third party is, gang stalking, furtherance of murder and kidnapping, and doing so with impunity. This is also the demons who stalked me in the bathroom. This is the population that was gang stalking, monitoring my vagina today. The city of Ontario with the people of the state. Again, that's license AGSPTR, and it's 9:46 p.m. This is the entity that's gang stalking Woodside Senior Apartments, the entire community, which I already thoroughly documented. Linda Reyes has not been removed from the federal case that she's being prosecuted for and federal prison for. And the entity is gang stalking while I am on G Street, and this is where the plane activity is concentrated, because license AGSPTR is stalking in the path while the demons of the Ontario International Airport are flying south of my position. That's why they're not flying over Woodside. They're flying over 325 West G Street, south of where I'm located. AGSPTR is now crossing path. That is, again, the average gang stalker in the city of Ontario engaging in criminal conduct with the police department, who's criminally monitoring through this demonic, which is this psychopathic, this perverted, this demented behavior, which is accomplishing criminal monitoring and its surveillance. Okay, so that's what you're listening to. That's the images and the video that I've taken. And this third party is gang stalking. Woodside Senior Apartments is located at 302 West G Street and 408 West G Street in Ontario, California, where Tracy Banks is located in unit number 51, license 9HUZ740. She is going to federal prison. She's gang stalking with the entire population that I've been documenting all day long. She's a part of that population, crossing path under the fake sun with that population, stalking and molesting with impossible light with that population, engaging in gang stalking with the city of Ontario with that population, including third party AGSPTR. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:47 p.m. All right, 9:49 p.m. It's currently 9:50. Ontario International Airport, engaging in what is stalking in the path, flying over 325 West G Street as I'm facing it at the TABOR Professional Building. Ongoing gang stalking, and the frequency of planes is relevant to what I'm doing on the internet. So as I am on YouTube, this is where they're already stalking, so the frequency with which they're stalking with planes is what is increasing as I'm on the internet. And this is when this demon license AGSPTR, again, pursuant to the pattern of conduct, and pursuant to the pattern of conduct of gang stalking anywhere and everywhere, including where they live, which is why you'll be prosecuted at your address. But the entity walks out to get in their vehicle to just stalk in the path with light, and cross path while the Ontario International Airport is in need of somebody to be in close proximity to stalk with light. That's what this third party is doing. That's what the third parties pacing on G Street are doing. And the Ontario International Airport is engaging in obvious and plain stalking, as obvious as 67 videos of the police department stalking in helicopter. This is a plain and straightforward prosecution. It's unprecedented, but it's straightforward. The investigation is also complete, and so that prosecution is relevant to the diagnosis, and it's relevant to the impunity, which is relevant to enhancement to not only the charges but sentencing and damages, etc. It's currently 9:51 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, it is currently 10:27 p.m. I want to document the entity engaging in terrorism. While these are psychopaths that engage in stalking you with light. And the stalking with light conduct is directly because they are monitoring, and it's criminal activity by the government. So this is the state that's acting through the demon possessed who are crossing path on G Street. They're stalking, and this is the government that's engaging in stalking, and they're engaged in terrorism with light. While I'm on the sidewalk, rich concentrated light is appearing next to my person as I operate my device. And this is the entity that's engaging in terrorism. I want to document it on the record because the entity is going to be prosecuted for this. The government's going to be prosecuted for this. The police are going to be disbanded for this. The gang stalkers engaging in kidnapping, they're going to federal prison for this. This is what the people of the state are going to federal prison for. This is what, again, the corrupt companies like Starbucks are going to be prosecuted for. This is what they're doing. And it is nightfall when I'm outside, and light that's appearing next to me. I'm sitting, there's a bush right here. Light is not shooting through the bush. It's not wrapping around the bush while they're down the street. This is an entity, the entity's conduct with impossible light activity is ongoing domestic terrorism. And it is that while they're stalking you. And it is entirely beyond what is harassment. So this is relevant to, again, that which is harmful to your well-being. It is harassing, it's terrorizing, and it's demonic. That's relevant to the psychological harm and the terrorism. The fact that it's demonic. So I want to document that. This is what the entity is doing while they're driving, while they're living inside of their home. 325 West G Street's engaged in terrorism, stalking me with impossible light. 323 West G Street, Woodside Senior Apartments, the 413 West G Street, all of these, the people of the state that are all along on this street where I'm at, they're sharing in the criminal elements of monitoring. It is the entire entity. It's not just the demon and the license plate that I read. All right. They act as an entity and they're going to be prosecuted accordingly. I want to put this on the record because this is what the entity is doing in the middle of the night. They're stalking a woman together. The city of Ontario is stalking a woman together, and they're engaging in this psychopathic conduct of stalking with light, even while I'm outside. What you see inside of Starbucks, this is what they're doing while they're all stalking me, one person together. These are the demon possessed that are engaging in what I've documented as well, the sex offense. These demons are stalking in bathrooms on behalf of the government. This is P.O.C. It's 10:29 p.m. All right, Ontario Police crossing path, driving east on G Street, stalking me with the rest of these demons and doing so with intent. So they're stalking with impunity, and the Ontario Police, they don't have any future. They're being disbanded anyway, and I just want to get every moment of their criminal conduct, of their ongoing communication, of the fact that they have no regard for the law, that they are violent, sexually violent, and perverted psychopaths that are openly stalking someone that's exposing them, and they engage in more violence and more threatening conduct as they do so. They're crossing path on G Street with the rest of these demons that are stalking on G Street and doing so as I'm documenting. This is what they're doing under the fake sun all day long as well. This is what I'm documenting when the entity's stalking while I'm walking down the street and the fake sun is over me, and I'm capturing, like you saw today, the Ontario Police stalking me while they're crossing path, driving on the roads and the highways. And that's a psychopath that's engaging in what is gang stalking. It's supposed to be the passive aggressive system where you're not supposed to be able to prove that, and they're all stalking together. The Ontario Police are a bunch of psychopaths and they're still stalking, and they're doing so in real time while I'm documenting the fact, pursuant to their being disbanded, that they're stalking me. And that's why they are being disbanded, because they are so obsessively stalking one person and not engaging in what is law enforcement. They're driving again at 10:30. They are crossing path, gang stalking, criminal activity that they're sharing in with the rest of the people of the state by driving east on G Street. And they're doing so in my line of vision to communicate a threat, because the entity is gang stalking in the sky space. They can do so without sounding anything. They can pace all around you without ever being seen. They do so visibly to communicate a threat. That's the demons that are being disbanded. Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, L. Martinez, and B. Hook are going to federal prison. That's what it's always going back to. Corporal Tedusky, federal prison. This is the entity whose name I do know. The entire police department is being disbanded. And these demons that are gang stalking while they're crossing path, there are demons that are going to federal prison for gang stalking as I document them personally. It's currently 10:32 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, it's 10:35 p.m. documenting Ontario Police pacing. Not only are they stalking, they're demonstrating mental illness because they are pacing in Engineer Light, pacing back and forth on G Street. Another demon, Ontario Police crossing path, driving west on G Street, stalking me. They're not engaged in traffic. They're not engaged in focusing on going to a destination. They are stalking me like they are every other night, first of all, and every day, but also like they are doing pursuant to the pattern of conduct in the specific environment. And the Ontario International Airport crossing path as well. I took images of that. But this is the City of Ontario gang stalking, crossing path, and engaged in ongoing unlawful threats. And this is all going on the record for their disbanding. And every gang stalking cop with the Ontario Police that's going to federal prison for it. It's 10, and the people of the state as well. It's currently 10:36 p.m.